All right, today we are diving into something that is, believe it or not, a huge secret weapon for your website's traffic. Image SEO. I know, it sounds super technical, but I promise you it's way simpler than you think. Let's get right into it.
So let me just ask you this straight up. Are your images completely invisible to Google? I mean, you could have the most stunning professional photos on your website, but if you're missing a few key steps, the search engines, they might not even know they're there.
And here's the surprising truth behind why that is. You have to get this one thing in your head. For all practical purposes, search engines are blind. They can't look at a photo and think, wow, what a beautiful sunset. They can't see the detail in your product shots. They rely 100% on the clues you give them to understand what's in a picture. So, how do we teach these blind search engines to finally see? Well, that is exactly what Image SEO is all about. It's our toolkit, our set of instructions to help machines understand our images.
So what is it really? It's just the process of optimizing your images so search engines can finally wrap their digital brains around them. And here's the payoff. When they understand your images, they can rank them in places like Google Images, which means they start sending you a whole lot of traffic.
And you know, this matters for so many more reasons than just getting clicks from Google Images. Yeah, that's great, but properly optimized images are also smaller, which makes your entire website load faster, and that's a huge deal for Google. Plus, it makes your site accessible for people using screen readers. It's a win-win-win, for real.
Okay, so let's get into the how-to. The most important part of this whole process happens before you even think about clicking that upload button. Just think of this as your super simple pre-flight checklist. Get this right and you're golden. First thing on the list, file type. Look, there are a few options, but honestly, the choice is pretty simple these days. For pretty much everything, your photos, your graphics, WebP is the way to go. It gives you incredible quality, but in a really small file size. If you can't use WebP, JPEG is fine for photos, and you'll want to use PNG only when you really need that transparent background, for a logo or something.
Next up, and this one is so important, file size. A huge, bloated image will absolutely murder your page's loading speed. So here's your magic number. Always aim for under 150 kilobytes. There are tons of free tools online that can compress your images in seconds. It's a tiny step that makes a massive difference. And number 3 on our pre-upload checklist, the file name. Please never ever upload a file called img230.jpg. It tells Google absolutely nothing. Before you upload, rename it to describe exactly what's in the picture. Use hyphens between the words. Something like red running shoes men.jpg is perfect. It's a huge clue for Google.
So let's just lock that in. Your new routine every single time you touch an image is just 3 steps. 1. Pick the best format, which is probably going to be WebP. 2. Compress it down, get it under 150 KB. And 3. Give it a descriptive name. If you can just turn these 3 things into a habit, you are already way ahead of most of the internet.
All right, so you've done your prep work, the image is uploaded, awesome. But we're not quite finished. Now we need to do a couple of things on the page itself to give the search engines the full story. Now this is probably the single most important thing you'll do on the page, the alt text. This is your chance to literally tell the search engine what the image is about. The secret is to just be descriptive and natural. Don't try to stuff a bunch of keywords in there. If you've got a picture of red men's running shoes with white soles, well, that's exactly what your alt text should be. Simple as that.
Now you might see another box there for title text, and it's easy to get them mixed up. Just ignore the title text. All it does is create that little pop-up when you hover your mouse over an image. For SEO, it's pretty much useless. All of your focus, 100% of your energy, should be on writing a fantastic alt text.
And here's a little pro tip for you, and it's so easy to do. Google is smart. It doesn't just read your alt text. It reads the words around your image to figure out what it's all about. So you always want to put your image right next to the paragraph that's talking about it. That context is absolutely key. Okay, we've covered the absolute must-dos. Now let's just run through a couple of final checks that'll take your image game from just good to great and really squeeze some extra performance out of your site.
First up is something called lazy loading. This is such a brilliant, easy win for page speed. Basically, instead of making your browser load every single image on a long page all at once, lazy loading says, hey, don't bother loading that image until the user actually scrolls down and is about to see it. Most websites have this feature built in now, you just have to make sure it's turned on.
So let's just flip this around and recap by looking at the things you want to avoid. The biggest mistakes people make are uploading massive uncompressed images, using those awful generic file names, completely forgetting to write alt text, and picking the wrong file format. If you can just avoid these 4 things, you're doing amazing. And so, here it is, your final go-live checklist for every image you publish from now on. Are your images compressed? Yep. Are your file names descriptive? You bet. Is your alt text complete and actually helpful? Check. And is lazy loading turned on? Perfect. If you can check these 4 boxes every time, your site is going to be faster, more helpful, and way more visible to Google.
And there you have it. It's really that straightforward. You now have all the tools you need to make your images work for you, to actually bring in traffic. So the only question left is, what's the first image you're going to go back and optimize? Thanks for watching.